Hey folks, in this video we're going to highlight this truly stunning TEAC X-1000R auto reverse reel-to-reel tape deck. And this one is in incredible condition, easily mint condition. Nothing I can see to really call out, worth calling out. Probably as close to new as you're likely to find, and also restored by me for function, look and feel, and audio performance to optimize all of those things. And what I like so much about the TEAC X-1000R, a few things. So one is the auto reverse, which is a great convenience. Not having to remove tapes to flip them over, to be able to put on one of these large reels, and then at high speed you've got hour and a half per side, so 3 hours of playtime at high speed, front and back. At low speed, 6 hours, which is a lot. I typically use the high speed, and 3 hours is 3 hours is certainly plenty enough for me. Then the tape transport features of this deck. So it has tension arms on both sides, and they're servo controlled. So the tension, the motors, the tape transport is just phenomenal on these decks. Very smooth, very quick, fast forward and rewind, very gentle on your tapes as well. Third thing I like so much is the computer control. So it's being an early 80s deck, you're getting into some of these applications of technology like real-time counter. You have 2 hours, minutes, seconds. You have 2 memory positions on the tape, so you can set your 0 position. At any time you can go back to the 0 position. Also you have a Q position, so two memory positions that are available. Your Q position you can set, and then at any point you can say search to Q. Let's go ahead and do that while we're at it. Search to Q, and then let's get this on tape and play. So I press search to Q and play. When it gets to the Q point, which I've set ahead of time, it will then play. So a little bit about that tape transport. You'll notice as it gets near the time, it slows down just before it stops. In this case, it even reversed a little bit. So you just get to that Q point, and then since I press play after search to Q, it will play. So I do the same thing back to 0. So search to 0, go back to the 0 position. If I press play, it will play when it gets there. If I press reverse, it will reverse play. Of course, you can't reverse the beginning of the tape, you just go off the end of the tape. But anyway, these features are really nice. And the fourth and thing that I love so much about these decks is the audio performance. So being fairly late in the development of the reel-to-reel tape deck, your electronic path, your servo control, all of that contributes to excellent audio performance on these, particularly when they're in condition like this one. So after the restoration, which we'll get into a little bit, this one had a frequency response of plus 1.5, minus 1.5 dB, which is just incredible. These decks are, and that's after full restoration and calibration, and it well within the spec of plus minus 3 dB. Just to highlight it really quickly, I think you can see that here. This is basically each line. This is plus and minus 2 dB. You can see the full frequency response is well within the 2 dB markers I have here. This is a not smooth graph. Excellent audio performance. This is typical of reel-to-reel tape. You get a little bit of a bump here at the low frequency, which kind of gives it that analog character. But anyway, this is exactly what you want on a reel-to-reel deck that's really been tuned up right. So let's get to the restoration. So really extensive restoration to really restore reliability, excellent performance, excellent tape handling, and then that great audio. So the capstan pinch roller mechanism, I actually completely removed that from the deck, disassembled it on my bench, and clean it, lubricate it before putting it back in. Also remove the full faceplate. That allows me accessed all these switches and potentiometers. I can get everything cleaned really well, particularly your output in your line. You always can get a little scratchiness over time. It's important to hit those several times with deoxit. So I flush each of those 3 times very well before calling that done. Also remove the control panel. So one thing is important to me, especially where you're essentially touching and feeling and interfacing with the deck, is to have those switches be very responsive, very clean. So I take this out, take it apart, and all the switches, all the dust that's accumulated over time, all that's cleared out. So it feels great, functions great, and just part of what I feel is important to do. Everything to do with tape transport, all these pinch rollers and tension arms and idlers and pinch rollers, everything is removed, cleaned really well with isopropyl alcohol, lubricated, and before reassembly. So then when it's all reassembled, then you go through some of your torque and tension measurements. So which goes from brake torques, pinch roller pressure, then you get into your tape tension. And the only way to properly set tape tension is with a tensilometer. They are available. Used. They haven't been made in a few decades, really probably since the 90s. But I had purchased a new old stock one, fairly new, so from the 90s, which is fairly new for those devices. Calibrated for video, but they can be recalibrated for 1/4-inch reel-to-reel tape of this thickness, and absolutely critical for setting the tape tension. So the spec on these is 50 grams of tape tension, forward and reverse play, and that's actually fairly low, and it's going to really ensure that you have excellent performance, as well as make sure your motors and your tape heads aren't wearing unnecessarily, that your motors aren't getting too much strain. And if you don't have that tool, then you can make it sound good, but you're really going to be wearing out your heads too much. You're really going to end up with a tape tension that's too high, and it can be a good bit too high. So and then your forward speed tension, that's set as well, and then you get into your forward wind speed, which is set with an oscilloscope, and when that's set correctly, then the spec, I believe, is 100. I don't remember, it's 90 or 100 seconds to go from end to end of the tape. I think you saw when it was going to search to cue how quickly this tape moves. So it's very fast. So 100 seconds end to end for a large tape like this. And so you saw it's really fast, but then because of that computer control and slowing it down before it comes to the end point, your tape handling is just very gentle, very, very easy on your tapes. So after you do all that, then you adjust your speed, high and low, 7.5 and 3 3/4 IP, or 3 7/8 IPS, and no, it's 3 3/4, 3.75. And check your wow and flutter using your reference tape. So reference tapes are the other critical tools that you absolutely need for these. Reference tapes for speed, wow and flutter, that's one tape, and then for playback frequency response, that's another tape. So after the full mechanical calibration, all that's done, you measure your wow and flutter. If you've done a great job, if the deck is in good shape, you should be in good position there. This deck came in at 0.032%, well within the spec, 0.05%, so good there. Then you move on to the audio calibration, and here you have another reference tape, your frequency response tape, and you're basically adjusting the levels and your equalization to get your response as flat as possible. And if your tape heads and your audio electronics are in good shape, you should be good there. This deck came in at plus 1.5, minus 1.4 dB, and I showed that chart earlier, so excellent frequency response from this deck. So the sound is just phenomenal. And I think I mentioned I restored this one in April, and it's been really hard to give this one up. It's been enjoyed it immensely. then you get into your record. So you got your bias, your level, and your frequency response for recording. You need to choose the tape to set. You do it at the LH2 position. And I use this tape, ATR Magnetics MDS 36. It's a modern tape. Two manufacturers of modern tapes, and I definitely recommend using modern tape for your frequency response. Then after that's all done, you do that at high speed, low speed, forward, and reverse. So you can see an auto reverse deck with three heads in forward position and 3 heads for reverse, total of 6 heads. It's really quite a task to get everything calibrated, but absolutely necessary and very much worth it. A lot of people, if you find one of these and it just happens to work, you're like, oh wow, it sounds great. Well, it probably doesn't sound really that great until you've really had it calibrated properly. So the final step in the audio calibration is to set your DBX, encoder and decoder levels. So if you do have tapes that have been encoded with DBX noise reduction, you can use that. You could record in that if you so chose, and the frequency response of that is also well within spec on this deck. It's just the condition of this deck is just amazing. So the deck is really just fully detailed in and out. So the look, the feel, just incredible. So let's do a quick demo. So I think we heard it playing, but the point of this demo is really not demoing the audio quality, because you're listening through my camera microphone. But let's look at let's get a little closer and demo reverse back to forward. So you play in the reverse position, and then you'll see it go from reverse back to forward. What it does, from forward to reverse, you apply a metallic sensor to the tape. For reverse back to forward, it uses the 0 position that you've set. So it's basically going from reverse to forward again. So with that demo, let's go ahead and demo the recording. So search to 0 again, just to get at the beginning of the tape. Engage record mode. So record mode is engaged. When that's engaged, you're going to have a blinking light here on the record button. Next thing to do is press record and pause at the same time. So basically hold in record and press pause. If you've done that correctly, your record light will be solid. So make sure to look for that. Your record and your pause are both solid. So now let's just preview what we're going to be recording here. So I'll put it in source. This is what we're going to record. Let's put that back to tape. Get that cue back to the beginning. Now press play. Get our source. Now, because I'm in the tape position of the source tape monitor switch, we're actually listening to what's being recorded. We're listening to the recording, not what's being recorded. If we press the source, now this is what's being recorded. This is the source, and then that's the tape. So just incredible response with this deck. And now what we can do is search to 0, play. Let's take record off, just so we know we're not recording anymore. And we're going to listen to what we were recording. So just a quick demo. It's a great sounding deck. I enjoyed immensely. It's both restoring it as well as playing in it and recording on it. And hope you enjoyed this video and have a great day. Thank you.